All right, welcome to our Talk Tickers analysis, where we're cracking open the latest earnings report from IBEX. We're looking at their first quarter of fiscal 2026, and folks, they really just put on a clinic. So let's get right into the numbers and figure out what this all means.
Okay, let's just start with the headline number, the one that really jumps off the page. 74.1%. What is that? Well, that's the year-over-year jump in their adjusted earnings per share. I mean, wow, that is a massive beat, and it really sets the stage for everything else we're about to talk about. So this wasn't just a good start to their fiscal year, it was a record setter. All that great momentum they had coming out of 2025, it didn't just continue, it actually accelerated. Management was pretty clear, calling it one of the most impressive starts to a year in the company's entire history. All right, so let's pop the hood and look at the headline results. We're going to break down the top and bottom line numbers that are really driving this incredibly powerful story. Now, what's really interesting here isn't just the growth, but the quality of that growth. Yeah, revenue is up a very healthy 16.5%, but look closer. Adjusted EBITDA, which is a great way to measure a company's real operational profit, grew by almost 25%. So their profits are growing way faster than their sales. That's a sign of a business that is just humming, and it all flows down to that massive 74% explosion in earnings per share. That is some serious operating leverage. So where's all this growth coming from? Well, this wasn't an accident. It's part of a very deliberate strategy. They are absolutely crushing it in these high-growth areas like retail and e-commerce and health tech. But at the same time, look at that telecom number. They're actively shrinking their business with older, lower-margin telecom clients. This isn't just random growth. This is smart, calculated, and much more profitable growth. Okay, so we've seen the what. The big numbers are fantastic. But how are they actually doing it? Let's dig a little deeper inside their growth engine to really understand the strategy behind these results. You know, the secret sauce here is really their land and expand strategy. It's not just about winning a new client, what they call a new logo, and then moving on. Nope. The real magic happens next, when they systematically grow that relationship and turn a small pilot program into a massive long-term partnership. And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. The proof is right here in the data. Over the last 2 years, the number of clients spending over $1 million with them is up 24%. But even better, the number of big fish, clients spending between 10 and 20 million a year, is up a staggering 67%. They're not just winning, they're scaling, and that creates a way more stable and predictable business for the long haul. CEO Bob Dechant didn't pull any punches on the earnings call. He said, and I quote, "Our competitive moat is deep and wide." Now that's a pretty bold claim for any CEO to make, so let's see if the numbers actually back it up. And yeah, the pillars holding up this moat look incredibly strong. First, their clients are super loyal. A revenue retention rate over 98% basically means nobody leaves. Second, those clients are also super happy. A net promoter score of 71 is considered world-class. Third, their own employees are happy, with an all-time high satisfaction score. And finally, they're becoming a leaner, more efficient machine. Their operating costs are shrinking as a piece of the revenue pie. You put that all together, happy clients, happy employees, and a super efficient business, and you've got a recipe for a real, durable advantage over the competition. Okay, so that was the quarter that was, an absolute home run. But you know how the market is. It's always looking ahead. So now let's turn our attention to what management is forecasting and get into their crucial strategy around artificial intelligence. So no big surprise here, right? After a quarter like that, of course they went ahead and raised their full-year guidance. They bumped up their targets for both revenue and profitability. That's a huge vote of confidence from management that this strong performance isn't just a one-off thing. And of course, you can't talk about this industry right now without talking about the elephant in the room, AI. So naturally, the big question from analysts on the call was, hey, how is all this generative AI stuff actually affecting your business right now? And the CEO had a really smart, clear answer. He laid out this two-pronged AI strategy. First, they're using it internally to make their own people better and more efficient. And second, they're building AI-powered tools and services to sell to their clients. So here's the key takeaway. For IBEX, AI isn't some scary threat that's going to take away their business. They see it as a huge opportunity, a tool that actually makes them more valuable to their clients. All right, let's put it all together. We've got a blowout quarter, raised guidance for the rest of the year, and a really compelling AI strategy. So what's the final verdict? Let's get to our forward-looking analysis and our official rating. Yeah, Based on this stellar execution and the clear road ahead, our rating for IBEX is a confident outperform. And look, the why behind that rating is pretty clear-cut. They are growing at double-digit rates, way faster than the overall market. Their profit margins just keep getting better. Their AI plan is actually becoming a real competitive weapon. Management just told us they expect this to continue, and they're even buying back their own stock. The execution is just firing on all cylinders. So for investors looking at this and thinking about how to potentially trade it, one strategy to consider is something called a bull call spread. Now, in simple terms, it's a defined risk way to bet that the stock is going to go up, but without putting as much capital on the line as just buying the stock outright. The whole idea here would be to capitalize on this momentum, carrying them into their next earnings report. For example, you might look at buying a call option and selling another one at a higher price to create a position that profits from a continued move up. The big question, of course, is can they keep this top-tier execution going? That's what we'll be watching for next quarter. And as always, remember, this is not financial advice.